So it's a great day because we're joined today by Energi Toruń's coach, Jussi Tupamaki. How are you doing, coach?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. So this is always kind of interesting thing for me to talk about when Finnish players and Finnish coaches decide to do anything in Poland, which sounds kind of exotic if you think about it. So why would you choose Poland over any other country, maybe more of a hockey country in the world?
For me, when I got the opportunity or the offer here, I talked with Tomek Valtonen, who was the national team coach in Poland and coached here. Also, I asked about the league and heard good things about from him. And then I asked, because I'm coaching also Estonian national team, and our goalie played here before he got injured a little bit in Toruń. So I also asked him about the city and everything. And what I think is mainly that I also think about when I make decisions is a place that you can make a difference.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you can make any difference in the Polish hockey team?
Yeah, of course. There's always things you can do. Bring a different perspective on how to run an organization, how to run a team. You can do a lot of things. Of course, things don't change easily or something like that. But I think you can always make a difference in some way.
Mm-hmm. So do you see yourself coaching here for another, I don't know, season or 2 or 5? Do you see that happening?
We will have to see. I have an option for next year, and we'll see. I think in the near future we know about my future also.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the most important thing is that I gotta have a long-term vision in a way how to improve things, organizations, everything, and that's the main thing for me. I'm just looking for that, and we'll talk about it in the near future.
Sure, great. Actually, before I get to the hockey questions, I always want to ask because I saw some videos, I think on Twitter, on Facebook, when like there are places in Finland when you can actually skate from home to school.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yep.
Have you ever done it?
Well, I remember that one time the roads I skated. I remember one time when I was like maybe 9 or 10, and the road was icy and there was no. Usually they put sand and little rocks and stuff like that to make it not that slippery, but it wasn't like that yet. So I skated to school on the road, but. But also, I got a friend that lives in a little island there, and the only way from there is to drive on the ice or in the winter or skate.
Wow, nice.
So it's possible, yeah, it's possible.
Wow, that's amazing. Also, you guys have like the best also beer leagues. I don't know if you heard about this beer league that is partially Norwegian, partially Finnish, and partially Russian. And actually, there is this team, I don't know, they're from Moscow. I'm not sure where they're from, but actually, like that guy Putanen, he's like Putin's friend. He actually plays for that beer league. And there's this also team from Norway. They don't even have a like closed ice rink. They only had like this open ice rink. And there's also this team in Finland who always takes like this super tour bus on every game, and they get drunk as hell. Then they play hockey, then they get drunk again, and then they come back home, and that's the beer league in Finland. I mean, that's the best stuff ever, seriously.
I don't know about that particular team, but it sounds like a great fun.
Yeah, it is. It sounds really nice. Speaking of Tomek Valtonen, because well, I'm sorry that I mean the reality of Polish hockey is difficult, and it's always well, usually it's very harsh. So pardon me if some of the questions will also be harsh, but it's hard to talk about the Polish hockey league as if it was NHL, right? So. Speaking of Tomek Valtonen, who you're friends with, right? And in one of the interviews, when Tomek was coaching Team Poland, he said that there are simply not enough Polish players who are able to play on a professional level. Would you agree with that?
Well, I don't know. Professional levels are different. You know, you can play professionally, but I think right now, if we talk about the Polish league right now, a lot of teams have a lot of imports who play. So the level is actually pretty high in between the top teams. It really is. It's not a bad. It's really not a bad league. But I think that overall, I think there is Polish players. I don't know how many, but I don't think they're like evenly divided between teams in a way.
Yeah.
That some teams have a lot of Polish players. That can, let's say Katowice has a lot of Polish players. Their best players are Polish, I think. And all like and then some other teams don't basically have one or two.
Okay.
I don't know, because what if I remember correctly, 4 or 5 years ago in Poland you had a lot more teams and basically all players were Polish.
Yeah.
Am I right? And Polish national team played in Division 1A.
Yes, we did at some point.
So probably, you know, I would say that there are players, but it would need some structural changes. Maybe to, you know, accept that the league level of the league would go a little bit down, but the players would be more polished and to give more chance. You know, if winning is everything, that's the problem. If winning the league or, you know, winning the championships is everything, and there are no restrictions, there's always going to be teams that buy players to win. But if the main thing is to develop Polish hockey and not to win a championship in a way, you know, so I would see this as a collaboration of the Hockey Federation and the league in some way.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it or so, but I don't think that would be a big difference for the audience or the fans if the level would be, let's say, percentage-wise 10-15% lower, but there would be local players, Polish players. I would think the fans would love that even more. That's my opinion.
I gotta tell you that I've been a NHL fan before I even began to watch Polish hockey. And actually, I gotta tell you that the problem is that when the league was almost only Polish, the league was boring as hell, and we were actually in Division 1A, mainly because of the players that were not playing in Poland. If you think about Odrobny or any other or Chmielewski, right? So that's why this happened, and I think right now with all those international players, it's actually watchable. It's actually pretty nice. right now. If you think about team like
mhm.
your Toruń, like Katowice, Jastrzębie, etc. So right now it's really watchable, and I don't know. From my perspective, maybe just like Polish players have some players to kind of learn from, and
Yeah. I understand totally. Like I didn't mean it to be so that it would be all Polish.
hmm
I would say that, of course, there's always it brings a lot more to get quality imports and like you said to bring the culture and everything.
yeah,
But and yeah, I think they're planning to do something to bring down the amount of import players that can play there and something like that. So
hmm sure,
I think they're trying to do something with it. So,
yeah,
but I think it starts from every organization what they want in a
hmm
way. Like I said, if everything is winning a championship, no matter what, and you just have money and you bring in players and you don't care, then it's a different ball game. It's a
okay.
different game.
And what's the culture? What's the approach like in Toruń right now?
Well, I think like what they bring me in here was to bring. I came here to teach the Polish young players, give the Polish players a chance,
hmm
get young players in, work with them, and of course at the same time try to be competitive in the league, not to be the last. Like you can also like not to do it so that we only play with the juniors and then we don't win any games, but it's kind of a balancing thing between that. And I think we've succeeded in that really well. If we look back, how many players? I think we got
hmm
3, 4 players that played there. I think 4 who played their first games in the men's level.
Yeah,
Uh, and yesterday we got in Sosnowiec we got 2 defensemen, 17-year-old playing there as a
right.
pair, as a defenseman pair. And we've taken some chances and risks in a way in a short term
hmm
in a game, but we try to look at it and long term. And right now, I think looking forward to next year, there will be a lot more players. Also, some of our older players have developed to the national team level. For example, Mateusz Zielinski, first time defenseman, made a really good jump this year to the
hmm
national team. Unfortunately, he broke his hand blocking a shot, but you know, I think that's the culture that we're trying to build here
hmm
right now.
right.
Uh, of course, we want to win games. We don't go into any game not thinking about winning, but as a coach, for me also it's really important that the players develop and that we give them chances throughout this year and those who can, but it's also a competition. I talk to the players a lot that, at start you will get more chances, but after that it's about how hard you work. And if you, the chancer that if you don't take advantage of the chances, you will not get them anymore in February.
hmm
Not that many anymore.
Sure.
So it's all about you still have to produce. We don't give out or hand out playing time just for fun. You got to earn
Yeah,
it.
of course.
But that's the thing.
But that's interesting, and that was one of the interesting because you're talking about like bringing youngsters and stuff, which is great, which I'm all for. But you have to like explain this one to me, coach. I mean, what the hell? I'm with all due respect, what the hell is Jarosław Dołęga still doing on the roster? I mean, the
Yeah.
guy's like
Well,
39, right? I
yeah,
mean,
I know. I know. Yeah. Hey, good. On a straight question, for me, I talked with Jarek before the season, and the point was that we need a senior leadership. We want somebody who's been here, and it's also respecting the history. I'm
hmm
I'm all or like, if he couldn't play, he's been playing and then he's not been playing, so I don't give anything for him. He's been in the roster, he's been out of the roster because he didn't fit there, so I'm not giving anything to him just because he's a legend here. But 2 games ago he scored a goal, he scored a couple goals, he's working every day he's working hard, never complaining a single word, so he's a perfect example for the young guys. Sometimes you have young players or you have players that complain or think they should earn more. This guy's been here, forever and scored more points than any player.
Yeah.
And whatever I ask, he does. Power play, PK, he plays 1 shift in a game, he don't complain. He plays 20 shifts in a game, it don't matter. So for me, that's an example of an ultimate professional mindset. And for that, to have that kind of a, example for the younger guys to see that, this guy don't complain if he don't get to even though he could in a way, because he's had some history and, he could always say, something like that. He don't complain. I don't want to hear anything about the younger guys, That's how it is. So for me, it's not always about producing. It's also about what he can bring to the team other than points and wins and losses. And I think that is a really important part of the year. And I'm happy that I've had him, there. He's always there, even in the morning skates. If he's not playing, he's going 100%, and I have to lift my hat to that because that's a professional.
Yeah. Well, so we've got our Polish version of Zdeno Hara, right?
Yeah. So I'm glad that. And I also wanted to give him a good experience in a way that I said I'll give him a fair chance. I treat him correctly. He gets what he deserves, but the main thing is to teach the young players how to handle different situations. Because let's face it, the biggest problem for the young guys sometimes is how to handle adversities in the game, adversities in life, whatever the case may be. And he's done that perfectly this year.
Great. Because this is a very cool thing that you're actually giving a Polish youngsters a chance, but also there's the kind of for us at least, the sad thing about Toruń is that the best, the highest scoring Polish person is actually the Polish player is actually ranked 8th on the team, and that's Patryk Kogut. And I have honestly, I have many reservations regarding Patryk Kogut because for me, this is the master of turnovers. Actually, the guy is pretty invisible, and when he is visible, he usually makes some kind of mistake. For me, he was like a solid maybe 3, maybe 4th liner in Tychy, and right now he's playing some kind of a bigger role in Toruń, but I think I don't know. For me, it doesn't really work. I mean. What do you think about Patryk Kogut's performance? I don't want you to throw Patryk under the bus or no.
No. Hey, well, yesterday in a win, I think he scored 3 points. Scored in PK. I don't know the stats, but our penalty kill is really good in the league. I think we scored. I don't say most of the goals, but in this league, I don't think there's many teams that score more in PK. And also, our percentage after 2 rounds, we were right there at the top. And I don't know what the situation is right now, but I've been pretty happy with our PK, and he plays the most minutes in penalty kill, and that's a really important role. He maybe played 1 or 2 games in power play. He accepted the role. So for me, a really important part of our team in that way, defensively. Offensively, with a little bit better aim, he could have doubled the points because he's had a lot of chances. But like I said, yesterday he was crucial in the win against Osnowiec, and yeah, that's for me he's valuable, our best PK player.
Okay. Okay. And speaking of other Polish players, it's pretty cool that you're actually giving some chances to your backup goalie, which in this league happens where almost never. If we look at, for example, Katowice, I think Maciek Miarka played only one game, and John Murray actually played the rest of them, which sucks. Which basically sucks, and it shouldn't be the case. And Miarka probably played only because of the regulations, right? That the backup has to play. The Polish goalie has to play at some point.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about Studziński so far? I mean, for me, it's like kind of nice goalie, maybe with some potential, but the guy's maybe he's like too quiet, and his personality is like I don't know, maybe he's like disappears in the locker room, but I don't know if that's a problem with the goalie. What do you think?
Well, goalies are always a little bit weird.
Yeah. I'm a goalie. I'm weird as hell.
But hey, you're asked to stand there. People are, firing pucks 100 miles an hour towards you.
You can't be normal. You can't be normal to do that.
It's like a boxer. Like they say that, are you afraid that you have a brain damage from boxing? And I say you already have if you start. So
yeah, I believe like it was probably I don't know, it was Ken Dryden or something. He said that you don't have to be crazy to be a goalie, but it really helps.
yeah. But I think technically, athletic wise, he's really good. Like he's a really athlete. A really good athlete in, great shape, works out a lot. I think for him, it's about consistency. I can see him being a first goalie in this league.
You do?
To playing over 20 games. Yes, I do. And I think that it's just about finding the right place and a right team to play, but I think it's also it's a lot about just carrying the mental load in a way, and I think I've always thought that you need two goalies, and and in my teams that I've coached, usually I've always tried to work with two goalies because you never know what's going to happen.
Of course.
Let's say that next game our Conrad gets hurt and you can't get any new players anymore, and you gotta be prepared. And also, like I said, we work with the goalies. We watch every save after every game or every goal they get scored on, and we work with both the goalies after every game they play. And it's the same thing with that. I want to also, give Mateusz a chance to develop and not just to play a game, but no matter win or lose, we watch the video, we watch the everything and try to get him better so that's so. Like I said, I can see him playing. Last year I think he played because the first goalie got injured, and I think that's mentally a little bit easier situation to play because you kind of have to.
Yeah.
This year the chances he get is not because of the injuries. So it's a different mentality. Mentally, it's different situation, and I think that's the next step right now to play. Not because the other is injured, but because I want you to play.
Right.
And then the next step is to get to play, majority of the games. And I think he can do it. He's not that old yet. His best years yet to come. So I can see him in 1 or 2 years being the first goalie in this league.
Yeah, and it always works a little differently with the goalies, right? They mature later.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
they need their
yeah.
time, right? But speaking
That's
of,
right.
I don't know how much you follow NHL, coach, but we all know that Finnish goalies are one of the top in the whole world.
Yeah.
So I was kind of interested in your opinion about, for example, such goalies as Jussi, for
Mhm.
example, because he's like tiny guy, right? He's like really
Mhm.
short, and
Mhm.
and that's one thing. But another thing is I don't know if you heard about the different
Mhm.
difficult situations for Mikko Koskinen in the Edmonton Oilers because right now he's under a lot of pressure, under a lot of
Mhm.
criticism.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how do you think he can handle that? I mean, if you could like talk to him and he asked him like, "Hey, coach, what do I do with this shit?" And what would you advise him? What kind of advice would him? I mean, the entire half of the hockey world is actually looking at him and actually
Mhm.
waiting for
Mhm.
excuse to kind of throw more shit on him, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
what would you say to such a player with such
Well,
tremendous pressure on him?
you know, this is what I talk to the players also, especially younger guys, but older guys. That's what you want. The point is that you want responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
you want to make a difference, and you want to play a lot.
Yeah.
The flip side of that is, you know, when everything goes good, you're on the top of the world.
You're loved, right?
Yeah, and when shit hits the fan, you still gotta be there.
Yeah.
And it's hard, but that's the name of the game. You can't go, around it. And that's what I talk. I talk a lot. I've always talked about young goalies that you gotta be ready not to be too sensitive about what people say or what they write on the newspapers because you're always gonna be judged,
Yeah.
and the newspapers will eat you alive if you let them. So
Right.
the main thing, the second thing, which is really hard nowadays with the social media and everything, but I think that social media and the way people follow that, they fill their head with too much shit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like as a coach, maybe 10 years ago, I stopped reading newspapers during the season. I stopped watching social media about, I'm in my own bubble.
Yeah.
I look the first time, I usually look the standings maybe a couple games before the end of the regular season because I don't want to create anything. Usually people create, you've played 10 games in the season and the 11th game is the most important game of the season because they watch the standings and you're
Yeah.
playing, like I was asked after 20 games, now you're playing for this and that position with this and that team. I said, are you kidding me? 20 games? Like we got half the season to go. One game is not like, I don't like to do that. I like to
Mm-hmm.
work
So you
and,
actually
and
don't follow the standings? You have no idea where your
No,
team
no, no,
is in the
no, no,
standings?
no. Usually only after like just before the playoffs or so,
Wow.
because I don't like if that gives something more to me that I try harder, I'm in a wrong place because I have to have that passion to try my best
Right.
without watching the standings. Because if that's your fire that gives you fire, what happens when you see that you don't get to the playoffs or you don't get that there where you want?
Mm-hmm.
Do you stop it? No.
Yeah.
So I want that the fire comes from somewhere else, and I don't want to create those kind of special games from the standing point.
Mm-hmm.
Players always know. They know. And usually that's the problem because, they watch the standings. Okay, we play tomorrow against Novi Park. Everybody knows they're the last team in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So mentally, that's the toughest place. They got nothing to lose, and we got everything to lose. And, there's always going to be those mental things. So what I want to say is that try to minimize your, social media input because what you feed yourself affects you in some way.
Sure.
you can't do it. If you see something every now and then, it's not that bad. You can't be just not seeing something on the media. But at the same time, if you keep watching them and watching your Facebook pages and watching what people write and think,
eventually you're gonna go crazy, right?
You're gonna fuck up your head pretty bad.
Yeah, that's for sure. Hey, speaking of, coach, I was told that you actually your job somewhere, I don't know, maybe you're gonna clarify that. Somewhere your job was to actually give opinions regarding players that were about to go to the NHL, that were about to be drafted. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's I was working as a kind of like a director of player development last year in Liga, and my job was I had 14 or 15 players that had a contract with the first league team, from 15-year-olds to 20 or something, and the top prospects, Brad Lambert, Samuel Helenius, those guys who were drafted, were kind of my thing was to follow their game, try to, give them some extra input, try to help their, manage their careers, and of course, the scouts and personnel from the NHL teams, they contacted the coaches and they contacted me and asked about the personalities of certain players and yeah, so in a way that was part of it. But the main job was to be that I was just in a role to watch over those guys and make sure that they're on a track to a best possible result in their.
So, did you have anything in common with Tuomo Teravainen or Sebastian Aho?
No, Teravainen and Aho, I've coached when I was coaching in Finland in juniors. I remember Teravainen when he was playing. So, but I've got nothing, I've only watched them play, but I don't know them personally or anything like that.
And if you were giving out these like opinions and stuff, was there any time, and I'm not asking you to give me any names or teams or whatever, but was there any case when I don't know, NHL team contacted you and you had to tell them like, guys, don't draft that guy. He's basically a piece of shit or something. I don't know. He's a good player, but he's a dick, or I don't know.
No, never like that. But the main thing that I tell the players that I coach, that the first thing they ask always is never about skills or it's always character, always.
Wow, right.
What kind of a person you are in the locker room, what kind of a person you are to coach, how you work, work ethic, those are the things, and it's more and more going that direction, that is the decider in a way. Everybody can see you play, and if you score a lot of points or whatnot, but there's that's the first thing they ask. Sometimes they don't even ask anything about their shot or whatever, but they always ask about the character.
Right. So if you were them, I don't know, based on what you said about them, just first paying most attention to the character, the personality, right? Would you draft Patrik Laine?
To be honest, when I was coaching in Mestis, the second Finnish league, 2014, Jesse Puljujärvi from Edmonton was playing in one team in Mestis, and Patrik Laine was playing in another team. And I think at that point, for me, I've always said Laine didn't look anything special. I wondered what's the fuss all about. And Puljujärvi was much more exciting and full of energy and everything. But, you know, personally, I don't know Lynette that well. I only see what I read,
Hmm.
so I can't make any judgments about
Hmm.
that.
Because
At that
he
time,
seems
I thought,
the guy seems really
at,
like his really has got seriously his kind of head up his ass sometimes, you know, like his.
I don't know. He's a special case that I know, but I don't want to make any judgments because
Hmm.
I've never even talked with him one
Sure.
on one, so I can't say anything bad about that. But what I can say is that he made a big jump
Hmm.
in year and a half because at that point everybody thought that Puljujärvi is going to be the one who's going to be first on the high level,
Right.
but something happened in a year and a half, probably the work ethic he has or something,
Hmm.
but he made a really big step, from let's say from 17 to 19, between 17 and 19, like in a year and a half or something like that. So I gotta give it to him in that way, but anything, more in depth, I can't say because I'm not personally don't know them that
Hmm.
well.
Okay, so who is like the best Finnish player that you ever coached? The best.
I would say character wise, and also he's won, I think, two NHL championships. He's Olli Määttä.
Wow,
He's
nice.
defenseman, and
Hmm.
I remember I was coaching the under 18 team. He was 16, and he already played in the under 20 team. And we had the qualifications for the first league in under 18 team, and he came down to play to help us. He was 15 or 16, and I sit down one on one because he just came to one practice and then came to the game,
Hmm.
and I can remember that I was in awe. Like I was like it was like talking to a grown up man. He was 16. Like the
Hmm.
way he handled himself, the way he analyzed everything, the way it was like unreal. And 2 years after that, or 1 year after that, he went to OHL, and then 20 something, he already was playing in Pittsburgh. And
Right.
so, talking about a mature, and of course, he fought through a cancer,
Yeah.
and he's not had it an easy way up. So, I think character wise, maturity wise, overall, as a hockey player and a person, he comes down to be one of the best.
Great.
Uh, in my opinion, I didn't coach him many years. I coached him in some special practices for defensemen. He came to play with us a little bit. I've been in contact with him uh, every now and then, asking him about some players, and he's every time really, really, he's really polite. You couldn't know that he's an NHL player and a star
Hmm.
in
Nice.
no sense. So I think he would be in that way one of the best. There's been a couple others that played. Sami Vatanen.
All right. Great.
Julius Honka played in Dallas. I think now he plays in Sweden.
Hmm.
There's been a couple players that played in NHL.
I'm not sure, but
Uh,
Vatanen was now he's probably playing
he's in
KHL, right?
Switzerland right now.
Or
Yeah,
Swiss.
Switzerland,
All right.
Switzerland
Okay. Okay.
National League right
Hmm.
now.
All right.
He's
Nice.
gonna be in the Olympics with the Finnish national team this year.
All
So
right. All right. Great.
yeah.
So my next question. Let's move a little bit to the maybe what I think is kind of probably maybe kind of a darker part of your career, and let's
Mhm.
switch to the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
And in one of the interviews, I read that when you you were about to coach for the Bulldogs, you said they
Mhm.
asked you, "What can we expect from the new coach, and how are you
Mhm.
gonna handle things?" And you said something like, "You're gonna be good because you're gonna spend a lot of time together with each other as a
Mhm.
team." And I was
Mhm.
thinking like, well, that's the nature of hockey. I mean, that's what every team in the
Mhm.
world does. So how is your
Mhm.
guys being like together uh, makes it any different from being together around any other any other team in the world. I mean, what exactly did you mean by that? I mean, what was that? Because like, well, the Bulldogs are not the best team in the world. So was it like you had to come up with something because you actually had no fucking idea how to help the team, or was it because you actually meant it?
With the Bulldogs, the main thing was that I was at first asked to do the same thing that here, bringing the Austrian players, the young players, and develop them.
So they were ready to be dead last at some point?
No, well, that's the point that, for sure, we didn't win enough games to do that, but it didn't, like, I knew it already when I was there that we didn't have enough players, we didn't have enough quality to compete with the best ones. And we played a lot of young guys and we got them better, but that's, like I said, that's the thing, that was the year. With the comment that you said, I think it was more about, because we got the full team maybe 2 weeks before the season or 1 week. So, But I mean that in Finland, you work with the whole team basically throughout the summer. And that's the natural time to spend time together and form the team. Also, preseason, you're going away games with the boss and you're building the chemistry. But when you bring when the team is together a couple of weeks before the season, you kind of try to have to create some extra something, also not only on the ring, but because the time in the ice rink is different. Like I said, one of the best ways is to spend time somewhere else doing something else.
Sure.
That's probably my point there. That because you kind of have to figure it out in that way. But but the main point there was not enough wins, and the thing with the youngsters was kind of thrown to the cart, the trash bin after hitting the wall in a way with the wind and everything. But I knew it already after I left. They changed the goalie, a couple of players, and they still finished the last.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I knew already that if we switch 1 or 2 players, we might win. And that's what I told. We might win 1, 2, 3 games more. But as far as making playoffs or deep run or something like that, it don't happen.
Oh, okay.
And they have the same situation right now there too. It's not an easy thing in that way. But that's hockey. That's sometimes it goes like that, and it is what it is.
Yeah, that's true. And speaking of, it is what it is. I was actually interested because, well, you're from Finland, and you also had a lot in common with Estonian hockey league and Estonian national team, right? So for sure, it was in your power to bring to Toruń some of the Finnish or Estonian players. So my question, was that the case with Lauri Hunthapo or Robert Arak?
Yeah, Lauri, I didn't know a single thing about him before this season. So he was just a player that I watched during the summer, and then he kind of fit to our, plan. System, yeah. Arak, I know since he was 16. I've followed his career. I've coached him in the junior national teams. As well as Konrad Mulder, I know him, and since he was 15, 16. I know their characters, their personalities. I know their potential.
Right.
Also, Vadim Vasyonkin that came in the middle of the season. That's also the thing. I knew that, especially if you bring someone in the middle of the season, for me, it's really important that he fits in character-wise.
Right.
And that was the big reason that he came in and fit really well here. And
so I got to ask you this question: what the hell is Mudler? What the hell?
Mudler.
Yeah, what the hell is he doing in the Polish league? Like seriously, because my next question was I want to ask you because so you brought Arak, right, and you brought Mudler, right? So my question is, do you coach think that it's really a good thing to bring those players to Polish hockey league? I mean, isn't it gonna be a kind of a regression for them at some point? I mean, we all know last year Toruń had Anton Svensson, right? That was their
Mm-hmm.
first goalie from Sweden, and he was actually pretty awesome in this league. And but he openly admitted, because I had him on my podcast, and he openly said that he's playing here because back in Sweden, because of pandemic thing and all, they would probably cut his salary in half. That's why he moved to play in Poland. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like this, I don't know, freaking love for Polish hockey. I mean, Jesus, nobody loves Polish hockey. I mean, let's be serious. But do you think, coach, do you think it is really a good idea to bring those players here, especially Madler, who's the goalie, young
Mm-hmm.
Finnish goalie, who's still developing? Don't you think he's going to take a step back? I don't think he can learn much in Poland about goaltending. What do you think?
Well, for me, I think the most important was that he didn't play last year
Hmm.
because he went to Slovakia and then he had the COVID and couldn't play. So basically, this year was to get back to playing a lot. And, I got to also trust myself as a coach that I can make him better.
Hmm.
Like I said, I'm the one who's working with him every day.
Do you think you're making him better right now? Do you think he's
I've given. I never can say I can make someone better, but I can give him a chance to make himself better.
Mhm.
And I think if I'm watching the season right now, he's made a step back to, because the point was that he needs to get back to the track he was before last season,
right?
and whatever happened. And but let's face it, he only had one season with the men's team, and only one season playing as the first goalie in men's team. He had good season in the juniors and stuff like that, but that jump sometimes, and I think last year hurt him a little bit.
Yeah.
So this year it was like that, and
So
and
you've just given him time to kind of reestablish himself and kind of.
yes,
All right,
and
that's
also
great.
make sure that he works. He works hard, and he has to compete. He has to
Right.
compete
Mhm.
every day, because I have another goalie too who will play games, and if
Right.
he's not competing,
He's not playing, of course.
so I just wanted to put him in that. I'm not gonna tell him where to keep the glove or what kind of a technical things. Just we talk more about the game, about game situation, preparing for a game, stuff like that, and that's something that I can help him.
Nice.
Not the technical things in that case. We talk about them a little bit, but the main things are more mental and that kind of a thing. So I think after this year, he has a good year. He can have more choices than last year, because it's always a risk to get a goalie who didn't play last season.
Yeah.
So I brought him because I knew that what he can do, and
So again, we're back to the personality thing, right?
for sure.
Mhm.
That
Right.
is a big thing, always.
Of course. Coach, I gotta ask, because fighting is basically forbidden in Polish league. You get like 3 days suspension or whatever. But for me, I personally love fighting in hockey. I love enforcers. I really love the tough guys in hockey. So, what do you think about that aspect of the game? Should it be, I don't know, allowed a bit more in the Polish league or not?
I don't know. Like in Austria was a rule that first game you get the 5 minutes, and after 2 fights you get a game's misconduct, so you don't play one game.
Okay.
So if it happens one time, it might be just a heat of the moment thing and stuff like that. And
Right.
I think that was, some kind of I saw that not as a bad thing, because let's face it, in a sport where you constantly hit people and compete and battle, there's times that, the emotions heat up,
Right.
and stuff like that happens. But what I tell to my players always is that we never start a fight, but we finish it.
All right.
So if someone attacks you, you're gonna defend yourself and the team, and you
Okay.
make sure that you finish it.
All right. So
But
if an opponent drops the gloves, you drop the gloves and you fight.
no, if he like I said, if somebody just drops the gloves and wants to have a fight for the fans or something like that, I don't buy that. You can turn away, but if somebody attacks you and is really attacking the team or a team member,
Right.
I've seen situations where somebody attacks a team member from behind,
Especially
or
a
whatever.
star player, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter who it is.
Okay.
I don't care if it's a star player, but you gotta protect your teammates in a way that if somebody starts beating them up, that means it's everybody has a right to defend themselves and their friends in that way, and that's what I say. I don't. I see that as a part of the game in a way. There's always gonna be some confrontations, fighting, whatever. But I don't want to make that as a show part of the game.
Right.
Sometimes it goes to that, and then you just see one-on-one what happens. But
It can be staged,
as
right?
far as picking a fight to get somebody out of the game or stuff like that, I'm not a fan of that. Some teams or some and also of course in North America with the history there and everything, it's a different game.
Right.
But like I said, I don't like our players to start fights, but I say if you go into a fight and somebody starts fighting you, finish it.
Right. Okay. Nice. I think I kind of agree with that. I think it's really stupid that if you have only one fight or something, you basically get a 3-game suspension. And like you said, in a game that's so physical and you get constantly bumped, checked, right? Like pushed around, and eventually you want to punch somebody in the fucking face. I mean, that's what it comes to sometimes, right? And it happens once in a while, also in Polish league, but to basically to instantly for I don't know to kind of banish it or to forbid to do it at all by handing out I don't know those suspensions is just stupid. So maybe it's the best way, like you said, in the Austria league, like you said, that one game is just 5 minutes and one fight is just 5 minutes and 2 fights is a 1-game suspension. Maybe that would work.
Yeah.
That would probably work.
Yeah, I
better.
don't know, but it was just something. But we had fights in the preseason. The first games there was fights in there all the time because there was no penalties from them. And I was like, well, this is how it's gonna be. We have for real. So I think I don't want that either. That they were like it was like in a jungle.
Right.
For real, the first couple games that we played were like.
You mean here in Polish league?
Yes. I was like, what the hell is going on? There's we had a fight basically 2-3 times in a game.
Seriously? Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then I asked, and the reason was because there is no. In Finland, if you fight and you get a major penalty or something like that in preseason, that goes on to you miss the first game of the season.
Okay.
Otherwise, people do shit in preseason because they know they can get away with it.
Right.
So that's what happened, basically.
So who was the most frequent fighter in Toruń in the preseason?
Zielinski.
Nice.
Mateusz was in a fight or in a confrontation of some kind in the preseason a couple of times. He's an emotional guy, so
nice.
You know. That was what happened.
I'm gonna keep my eye on that guy. All right, coach. My last question is because you sing, right, and you play guitar.
Yes.
And you do that really, really good. I mean, you've got an amazing voice, seriously, and wow, I mean, seriously. So I'm coming to Toruń probably for the playoffs because let's face it, you're probably making playoffs. And I play drums. So what do you say, coach?
Yeah, if we have a right day at a right time that we can go to Kipisovka when there's an
Yeah.
open mic jam there and just do something. No
Yeah,
problem.
coach, we gotta do this. I hear you play. I heard you play. I heard you sing. We gotta do this. You're not leaving Poland without me playing with you at some point.
If we find the right time, we can do it. No
Great,
problem.
nice. All right, coach. Thank you for your time. I hope
Okay.
you're enjoying your stay in Poland.
Yeah.
Best of luck
Thank
to
you.
you, and I hope this is not the last time we talk.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Thank
Okay.
you. All right.
Thank you, coach. Take care.